Okay, we're going to start with project 2 here, a layout of how you can consider working on these designs now, doing a little bit of designing with color while we're still thinking about what goes into the makeup of color. In this case, using contrasts and the contrasts of color. So this has, project 2 has 2 designs on one page. These are the 7" by 7" boxes that you did when you did the layout for this project, which I showed you on another video. For the first one, you're going to consider temperature, and that can have a range of values for the colors, but we're specifically looking at playing off warm and cool because we're dealing with contrasts. And the other one specifically then with value, which is a very easy contrast when you think about it. How do you see the text on a book or on a sheet of paper? Dark words on a white sheet of paper, for example. So we're dealing with value. So the first one, though, we're considering temperature, right? We know that we have warm and cool colors. We know that we have warm and cool colors in the kit, primary, secondary, tertiary colors, right? Doesn't matter how we do it as long as we think about warms and cools because we're dealing with contrasts. The second one, when we're dealing with value of colors, we want to be thinking about how we can push the value of our colors. For example, we know each color has a value. We also know how we can shift the intensity of the color, change its intensity, and change its value, make it lighter or darker. So we want to be able to do that. We know there are certain colors we can reach for that are obviously lighter and some that are darker just for a start. These are the kinds of things that we learned in project 1.1, 1.2, and 1.3. So for temperature and value, how do you begin to do this? Well, as you see in the PowerPoint, there are a number of design possibilities. It's up to you to decide how you want to do that. Previous student work, other ideas. One of the things that I point out is the creation of just a row of squares. One can take a ruler and for one of these, and you can make the rows a little bit bigger for starters. Something like that. And then keep our measurement here. Let's say we'll come down 2 inches. All right, and maybe we'll do 1 inch from there. And then maybe we'll do something like 3 inches. What you'll see on the example at the PowerPoint is that some people have done this by using just squares the same size. Whatever works to create a design, I've decided to do this. The key thing that I'm going to do when I start to lay in my cool and warm and play around with how a cool and a warm can work off of each other as I create contrast with that is the placement I'm going to put here. Now, on this one for the value, more distinctly thinking about the light and dark that I'm going to do here, I might want to use circles. I suggest rectilinear shapes or even some kind of organic form, but repeating the forms is important. So I have some stuff here. I can make some circles, for example. Right? And it's a good idea to have some overlap that's happening with some of those. I can change the size of these circles. and maybe close that off. So this is kind of a layout I have here. In this case, rectangles and squares, this one circles. For both of these, you need to consider at least 2 or 3 colors. 2 or 3, right? 2 or 3 colors. What happens with these colors? What happens with any of the colors I choose? If I have a warm and a cool, here a yellow and a green, a warm and a cool, or a yellow and a blue, or an ultramarine, what can I do with those 2 colors? I can always change their intensity. I can tint them, I can tone them, I can shade them to create even more variety. In particular though, when I'm thinking about temperature, I want warms and cools. And I will show you a bit more of the color that we think about when we're dealing with these 2 or 3 colors we want to choose in the next video. Anyway, these are my ideas for how I could go about creating some designs without ever drawing anything. Again, you can use implements to create geometric shapes. You can also have some kind of organic forms. As long as you're repeating the forms in some way, that will allow you to play one color off of the other as we deal with these contrasts of temperature and value.